Your story begins here. Single again with LFA and Barbs.
Welcome back to Single Again with LFA on this intriguing, exciting episode. I am excited. Last episode, we were talking about who to trust. How much do I share, even in the place that you think you should be safe? How much do I share? Who do I turn to? Because I remember Bob said that the heart of man is desperately wicked. Wicked. Who can know it? You can hardly know it. So in that
Yeah.
regard, and we're still talking about support system, your
Okay.
support system. In
Yeah.
that regard, what should you do in a situation like that?
Because a trust, you see, Lola, trust for me is a build-up relationship. Okay. You can't trust somebody you don't know them. So whether it's in the church, whether it's work, whether it's your social circle, you have got to know the person and already know that you can trust them before you go to them with your situation. And it's also sometimes you need to know the person on the other side. What is their strength and their ability to even absorb all this information that you want to pour out? What is their situation? Have they been into this situation before? Are they in an environment or in a relationship that they think is a perfect circle, and you having your breakdown coming to them might come to muddy their circle? So you have your relationship. So for me, you will know in a split second the person that you think you can trust. And then if you can trust them and you're talking to them, you also need to analyze what it is that I need to tell them. What am I saying? How
Correct.
much am I saying?
Yeah.
Because it's all right wanting to get it off your chest. Really, what is going to come back when you give? Because some of this information for me, I think when I was going through it, it's information that comes out in little bits. I'm not going to sit there for hours talking to you about my misery. I'm more going to be hiding in my room crying. So maybe, the first couple of days I'm really, really low. Then I'll just, sit there and talk to you about it. But it's all in levels and in stages. And, I need to know that this is a person I can trust. I also don't burden myself or beat myself if it's a person I shouldn't really trust and I gave the information. At the time, I just wanted it off my chest. You were the closest person there. So I told you. Now, what you do with that information also tells me the side of you that whether I knew or I didn't know. Because I can't be responsible for myself and responsible for you. If I'm coming to tell you all these things and you think, you know what, this is just too much for me, I would expect you to say, Barbara, I think right now, just go to sleep and then, have some rest. I'll look after the kids and then we can talk about it later. Or, you know what, you may know me, so you might suggest, why don't you talk to that person? Because if you are my close circle, that it's going to be somebody else. So trust is very dangerous. Trust in a relationship is very important because you have to build it. Because
Yeah.
I may have not built the trust to tell you my heartfelt issues. It doesn't make you a bad friend or bad person.
Yeah.
In that moment, you're just not the suitable person.
Yeah. And I think when we as individual realizes people in our lives and know them, we take time to really know them, it's going to be a lot easier on us to know that, okay, I can trust this person with this information. I can trust
Mm,
that they have my genuine interest at heart. And
mm.
I remember, like I said in some episodes ago, like when I was served, honestly, if I had known, I probably would have thrown a party, because when I was
You've
calling,
been doing that divorce party in your head for a very long time.
yeah, because when I was calling, like I called the groomsmen,
Yeah.
the maid of honor, I was calling them to say, hey, yeah, we're actually going to have a party, like we're going to have a divorce party, So I was at that point where first thing was, who should I call?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and then when I called my friend, that she was the person I would easily think and go to. When I called her, she was like, "Are you kidding me? Where are you?
Yeah,
You want me
yeah,
to start coming out?" I
yeah,
said, "No, I'm fine."
yeah.
Because she lives about 45 minutes away from me. "Are you sure? Do you want to bring the kids? What do you no, I have to come take you out." And then, they came and they're like, "You know what? We're going to take you out." They took me out, and like initially they were like, "I don't know what I'm gonna say." I said, "You don't just have to say anything. I'm
Just
just
be
hoping
here
that
for
you
me.
guys are
Yeah.
there."
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, now, whereas you wanted to have a party, I was crying. I was heartbroken, even though it was me that decided to leave. Sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves.
Mhm.
I was the one who left because the series of things that has happened, I still didn't want my home broken.
Yeah.
I'm as a traditional girl being brought up in a way that says this is the lane that you've got to be in. And I
Mhm.
remember my mother saying to me, there was a couple of times that I used to say to her, I need you to help me break this relationship. You need to talk to his parents. You need to talk to his family. I'm tired. And she says, if you walk out, who's going to look after those children that you have? I can't take them on. Telling me, it means you need to stick with it. But when I built up the strength to leave, I was leaving because I knew I had to, but not because I wanted to, because I was also afraid of the life that is going to be on the other side. And it was really scary. I have to pay for everything that I've never paid for. Take my children from their comfort zone, as I said in a previous series, to somewhere that I have no idea. And the first night, that was the most horrible night of our lives. None of us slept. We sat awake, and my youngest was 18 months. So it wasn't something that, you know, it was joyous for me. So I was actually reluctant to tell people because uh, the friends that I have or the people around me are going to say, you actually moved yourself out of this comfort zone to come and put your children in trouble. Then don't have the knowledge of what they can see from afar. And a lot of them, as I said, the pastor said, well, we've watched you being abused for a while. However, they didn't know the actual extent with which I've. So my desire was not really finding somebody to talk to. It's just, how am I going to do this? Because I know I have to go. So how am I going to do this? And who
For
can
me,
I trust to
actually,
talk?
it was after the fact.
Yeah,
Because then I had to think of, do I want to stay in this house? Do I want to move out?
yeah.
And then I have to ask myself, being a social worker, we all know we're not paid well.
Um,
Like, how am I going
how
to
would you
survive?
manage? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How am I going to pay the
Yeah.
bills?
I didn't
What
even
can I
consider
afford?
staying in the house. This is
Yes.
one of the problems that my family couldn't understand. That
Yeah.
you are the woman with the children. Why have you left? I was afraid of him.
I
So
was
I couldn't
too. I
think.
was really scared of
Yeah.
him
And I
too.
think this is my children's home and this is our home, but I don't want to be here. And grab the children to take them to a place that, I mean, when we get up in the morning, unless I'm holding their hands, nobody's leaving that flat. It was that bad until I could get something. So I think it's when it comes to finding somebody or who your support network is, depending on the intensity of your situation, sometimes it takes a while.
Yes.
For me, it took me a while to want to talk about that. It was just the people who were very, very immediate that will be coming to me and helping me, and the children, and then they're looking after the children, so you can cry a little bit. But it was so raw. It was never about that person in the room. If I tell you and you hear it and you go and do something else with the information, that is really up to you. I've never really had issues of considering what you would do with what I've said
And
because,
honestly, this is
yeah,
just to show that,
yeah,
just for you listeners out there, we're all on the same path.
yeah,
Our exits are different, our situations are different, but we're
yeah,
all feeling the same pain. Some are moderate, some are severe, some are more severe, but we are all feeling the same emotions and
hmm,
going through the same thing, and we all
you
need the
are,
support. And
yeah,
like you said, it takes time to trust and to build
hmm,
that trust. And it is also very important that you know who is in your corner.
Yeah.
Because
And
when
you
the
might
people,
sometimes think, oh, this is my trusted friend. But in this particular situation that you are in,
they are
are
not for
they a
that
person that you can
situation.
trust? And I think sometimes we make assumption and then take things for granted like that. And I'm not saying when I came out my situation was perfect. Maybe I have learned over the years to see that, every situation is adhering to a certain person and not to that person. And don't punish yourself. So you got it wrong. So because at the time your priority was your security, the welfare of the children. If you haven't got children and you're on your own, even the thought of now I'm on my own, that some people have a life path that must be married at this time, I must be doing
Yes.
something, and then that relationship breaks. To you, you've stepped back. You've had a setback. So it's it really the gravity of dealing with that also dawns on you. So we're not saying just because you're living with children, you're more special than somebody who's become
Not living
single,
with
and
children.
because the baggage may not be the same, but
Yeah.
the intensity and the ability to even find somebody to help you is and you don't always immediately think about professional help.
No,
That's
you
the problem.
don't. You
You don't,
don't.
you think, yeah, you're thinking about my family, his family, and who can I talk to? Who can I not talk to? I left my husband at the time when my mother was seriously becoming ill. It was such wrong timing,
Yeah.
you know? It was such wrong timing. My mother had become very unwell, and in this situation, you know I actually sent my mother away back so that I can have some space. And then you have all this entanglement of issues. So
Mm.
we have to appreciate that everybody's issue is different. So
And unique.
there is never going to be a one route of trust this, do that, but assess your environment properly. Sometimes you are the better person dealing with it, the immediate aftermath, before you start to share, so that your thought process is that. But if you haven't, blabber if that makes you feel better.
Yes.
Tell whoever wants to
Or
listen.
dig, like I would say,
Yeah,
write it in a journal, dig the ground, talk into
yeah.
the ground,
Ah,
you
that's
know,
the best one. Yeah, just
and
write
cover
it
it
down.
up.
Yeah,
Throw that
yeah,
seed and on the ground and
yeah,
cover it up.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think again something that I would say is it is very good when you have people that have walked the
Oh,
same
you're same. Yeah.
road, that have
Mm,
gone through the same route in your
yeah.
corner because they have experienced it. They know how it feels.
Yeah.
And they are able to guide you at every step.
Yeah.
When my friend was like, "Oh, it's lonely out there," I have to tell you that I didn't understand what she meant until I experienced it.
Mm,
It is lonely.
it's very
And I
lonely.
remember telling someone that too. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you
Yeah.
sure you cannot work at it? If you cannot work at it, then. But I have to warn
Yeah.
you, it is a lonely route. The people you think are your friends, some of them will back out.
Yeah,
And I
because
won't
the
fault
network
anybody.
changes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because as soon as you
yeah.
split up, the friends you had as a couple, they also become, who am I going with?
Yeah. They may
You
want to
or
take
he
side
or
or yeah.
he or you, and I don't want to get in the middle. So you have all of that to deal with as well.
It's a
You
lot,
lose some friends.
honestly.
You do
You will,
lose.
yeah.
There's nobody can lie to you. You will lose some friends because they were probably more closer to him than you or her than you. So you will lose some. And actually, that one too is okay because if they were for you, you wouldn't lose them anyway. So it's accepting that and not
You
putting
will.
the
Mhm.
burden on them. To say you really unfair because when I needed you, you weren't there. They also have some of the dynamic to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just want to say to every single again person out there, see it as a pruning time.
It really is.
See it as a time when you are being prone. And I'm going to borrow this. My son
Yeah.
said it when I was processing with him. And he said, "Mommy, my heart hurt."
Yeah.
And I said, can you explain how it hurt? And he said, it's like my heart is broken into a million pieces,
Mm.
that it is
That
difficult
is
for me
so
to see
sad. That is
picking it
so,
back. So
yeah.
if a child can describe it that way,
Mm.
if a child that is the secondary recipient of the trauma can feel that
Yeah.
way, imagine how the primary recipients of the trauma will feel.
Yeah.
You
But I
know,
think you also, when you have children, when you're going through that, you put your feelings on hold.
you do.
You know, you don't really analyze yourself. For me, I used to think I'll just get myself in the shower, and then that's when I'll break down. I'm trying to just keep the girls strong and keep saying, try keep them together. So long
Mm,
as they're huddling and they're talking to each other, and then you don't want to cry in front of them. So you kind of put your own feelings on hold, and then you hope, focusing on the children gives you strength. But you are also
yes.
allowed, you're entitled to actually break down. And if he's breaking down in front of the children, like you say, your son saying his heart is breaking. If mom breaks down in front of him, it's okay because he knows he's not the only one then. Mom is also going
Yes.
through a heartbreak. And I think it's we at times punish ourselves. We give ourselves all this power and superhuman attitude that,
But can you really blame us?
oh
You know,
no, no, no,
considering
no.
our
We have a duty,
upbringing,
isn't it?
considering,
Yes.
yes, your responsibility and
Yeah.
the way you've been, it's like you place someone on a pedestrian, and that
Yeah.
person, it's now like, oh my gosh, can this
Yeah.
person really do this? And you want them to be strong as well. You're hurting, and
Yeah.
give yourself permission to break down, give yourself
You have
permission
to.
to cry, give yourself permission to be vulnerable in their presence.
Yeah.
So that's where they know and they understand that we are all in this together. And that was what I told my kids. I'm like, if your heart is broken into a million pieces, can you imagine
Yeah.
how many billions, zillions mine is broken into? Even though I was happy, but reality dawned on me,
Yeah, it
like,
does. It's a change
whoa,
of life,
you know.
isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I will always say this, I am very thankful for my tribe. Like when I
Amen.
started coming out and talking about it, oh goodness, I never knew I had such wonderful people in my life. Like,
Yeah.
all you have to do is, I'm a phone call away. Is there
Mm.
anything I can do to help?
And they mean it.
Even
It's the ones
even
that
oh,
says,
like,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I haven't talked to you. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. you know and it's just so unfortunate that people that you thought would want to call and like, we had this, what happened, how did it happen, they never called you. They were waiting for you to come to them. And
Yeah.
I mean, Bob and I are just saying today, it is okay to have permission. And it is
Yeah.
very good for you to try and talk with someone that has walked the journey before, that knows how the journey is, and will direct you or advise you on how to maneuver the route so
Yeah.
that it won't be too bothersome
Yeah.
on
And I
you.
like the bit about it being a pruning time because, when you appreciate and accept it's a pruning time, when somebody tries to help you correct certain things that you're doing, you don't become so emotional and overly sensitive about it. Because especially if people have been there before and you're going around it, in a way that it doesn't seem clear. I won't say it's wrong because everybody's situation is
It's different.
different. But we can look at it and we'll see what you're going, and the person want to close their eyes because they know you are definitely walking into that pillar, you know and if they're almost afraid to say hello, there's a pillar in front of you, because you have put yourself in a position where nobody can correct anything or even suggest anything. But if you see it as a pruning process, then actually, listen, nobody's done it before, I haven't done it before, so what am I doing, where am I going? Let's work on it, let's make the wrongs together and correct it. But if you become blink, if you put your blinkers on everything, then you really leave yourself out there on your own,
You
and
do.
it is not a
You
place
do.
to be on your own. It's okay, be vulnerable, ask for help. Just Let your network know. Because when we say we don't know what to say, it means we don't know how far we can come with you. You know,
Absolutely.
as yeah, all right, I don't need you to say anything right now, but can you do me a favor? Tomorrow morning, can you take the kids to school? Because I have to do this. That
Yes.
is what, and you've opened that door. Yes, yes, I can. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to do it, but tomorrow I've got to be in the office. It's fine. You can't do it. That's okay. I'll find. It
I'll find
doesn't mean the
someone
fact
else.
that you couldn't
Yes.
do that for me at the time, you're the baddest person in my life.
No,
No,
no.
you've also
Mm-mm.
got. So I think our mindset should be in a place where we are saying, yes, this is a difficult space. I have people around me. How do I allow them to
To come
support
in
me?
and help
Yeah, and I think
and
we have
support.
to we have to, think about that and not be so sometimes we're self-righteous and overly protective of what is our own, and the privacy of the home, and not to take it out, and it's my business and I don't want
Mhm.
anybody to know.
It's my
We have
business.
to
Yes.
bring it
What
in
happens in this house stays in this house,
stays in
you
this
know.
house.
And you said something earlier on. You're saying that there is no manual, for this journey.
No, there
And
isn't.
that's true. I agree with that. It's just like childbirth. There is no
Yeah.
manual. There is no manual for being single again. There is nowhere I can go and read that, okay, when you're single again, this is the first step you take, then you take this, then there is nothing like that. So
No, there
it's
isn't.
like you're learning to walk all over again.
Yeah,
You're learning to do things alone all over again. You're learning to make
indeed.
decisions. You're learning to make decisions about school. You're learning to make decisions about extracurricular activity. You're learning to say, okay, we can afford this, we cannot afford this. So it's a lot. So your support system matters a lot. Please be open. Don't just close the door like, okay, that's happened. I'm not talking to anybody again, and go into a bolt of depression and you don't want
Mhm.
anybody to come
Yeah,
in. Be
that's
open,
the
give people
quickest
permission to
place.
come in and support
Yeah,
you.
you will be depressed. You will be depressed
Yeah,
without the right network
yeah.
support. Depression comes in, but you've got to get to a place where you can jump yourself out of it, because it's a life-changing situation. It's
Yes,
that, I mean, I should say,
it is.
but a house buying is as emotional as being divorced. Divorce is very traumatic. You're in, out, there. Change your mind. Start here. Not so. The element of depression is very, very high. The potential for
Yeah.
you to sink into depression is very high, and until you're aware of
And
it,
and 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 for you to just think that this person that I trusted, this person that
yeah,
vowed, can just turn around and break
yeah,
their vow. So who else can I trust? So on that note, we will be wrapping up this episode, and we'll
yeah.
see you in the next
Right.
episode where we'll be talking about
So,
the
yeah.
kids, support system for the kids, their friends, their parents' friends, and school. And do I go to the school and tell the school about it? Do I talk with their friends? Do I talk with a friend's parents? Until we see you same time, from me, it's love you. Bye.
Yeah. Trust your network.
Your story begins here. Single again. Single with LFA and Barbs.